Joink. All right, we are back. Mike. All right, Mike, this is good. Okay, well, man, that was a quick break. So, welcome back. Welcome to part 2 here. We're going to talk a little bit more about Back to the Future, but first, we're going to recap my Halloween a little bit. I didn't get to talk as much about what the King of Halloween did for Halloween weekend last week because we just had a big, busy episode, and, you know, I kind of forgot. I get a little scatterbrained. I forget stuff sometimes. So, let's recap my weekend from the previous weekend and this weekend, and you'll see what the King of Halloween has been up to other than being out there promoting his movie and stuff. So, we're going to get right into this particular video. Joink. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, so, this, first of all, I went and got the Boo Buckets. Yay! I went and got the Boo Buckets from McDonald's. I do this every year. I think every year except one year I wasn't a huge fan of like what the designs were, so I didn't go all out and try to get every single one. But this year I did, and I got them in spades. I maybe have 2 of each one of the new Boo Buckets from this year. That's just how nuts I went with McDonald's and these. And then when you get extras, I like to give them away. I give them away to my friends. A lot of my friends have kids, and you know, it's just a nice little gesture. Here's your Boo Bucket. Go have fun. You know, Halloween time. All right. Next thing here, I did some hosting at the cinema. I hosted a few different films, and every year the cinema has the horror film series, and I show up, greet people at the door, file them in. Then, after they're seated and everyone's ready to roll, I do some Twivia. I throw out some Twivia questions, and if you get my questions correct, you win free passes to a movie that is coming up at the cinema. So that's cool, and here I am pictured as, this was Carrie, the original 1976 Stephen King classic Carrie, so I dressed kind of like it's prom night. I hope it gives off that vibe a little bit. That was a fun time. Next, this is me hosting again. This was 2 days later, I believe. I was hosting Reanimator, and I was wearing kind of this lab coat look in my Halloween special this year. Of course, if you know Reanimator, you know the green vial of reanimation juice, and Herbert West with his glasses, played by Jeffrey Combs, and there's my buddy Dusty who came with me there. Those were his glasses I nabbed off his face. It was a fun time. Then here we go, more Boo Buckets. This is when I got the rest of them on a trip. Okay, and then the next day, we participated in the Superior Spooktacular Parade, which is like my favorite Halloween event out here. I said it before, I'll say it again. I think that the Superior Spooktacular Parade rivals the Anoka Halloween Parade, which Anoka is the Halloween capital of the world. Superior now says that they are the Halloween capital of Wisconsin, and I believe it. I've lived in a few different areas in Wisconsin, and Superior is always the place I like to go for Halloween spirit. I filmed an entire Halloween movie out there. That stretch down Hammond is incredible. The Halloween spirit with all those houses is just, it's second to none. Next to trick-or-treating in my hometown, there's no place like Hammond in Superior, and that's usually where the parades go. Here's a couple of shots of us from the parade. This is my King of Halloween Ghostbuster, and there was my buddy Keith there filming us. Then I got to meet the Grand Marshal and his family there. He's dressed as Beetlejuice, a whole Beetlejuice theme. Here's the cute little kid that was the mascot of the parade. He was on all the promotional materials and stuff. It was great. Amazing, cute family. Then, later that night, we went to, I dressed as Beetlejuice when I went to the Ghoulish Gala. Twin Ports Horror Society does it every year. Our buddies throw it. And I was a Beetlejuice King of Halloween hybrid. And we have, like, there's a game show, and you can win prizes, and there's raffles, and all kinds of cool stuff to do. Another one that we love to do every year. Then, my buddies and I went over here. This was the, let's see, this was in Cloquet. That was the haunted house that that amazing family has out there. And yeah, we had a good time, once again, schmoozing with them and going through their amazing haunted house. And yeah, all was well. What an amazing time that was. And now we will go directly into the next recap that I had going on from this last weekend. Joink. All right, Mike. All right, Mike is still up. Good. All right, and so next I finished my Halloween card. This one was a little rushed this year. I spent all of my time editing my film, so I didn't get a lot of time to like really polish up the card, but I think it came out pretty well this year. I've been creating and handing out Halloween cards to my loved ones since 2013, and that's another thing I do cover a bit in the King of Halloween movie special. And you see all the previous Halloween cards. This one, 2025, it features me and Tony Todd, who played Candyman. I got to meet him. He was a very sweet guy. He told me he liked my voice, which was really cool. And then I always kind of dress it up to look like a scary movie poster. In this case, this is based on the original Candyman 1 poster. And on that poster, in the eye, you see Candyman himself. And this time I put the picture of the two of us in there. And then below that, I always have a little in memoriam section of the horror icons that we sadly lost throughout the year to pay respect to them as the year comes to a close. And who do we have this year? Ozzy Osbourne and Paula Shaw. I could have put a few other people on here, but I didn't want it to get too crowded. We already have 3 passed on celebrities on this card this year. Of course, Ozzy Osbourne needs no introduction. And Paula Shaw, she played Jason's mom in my favorite movie of all time, Freddy vs. Jason. I got to meet her. She was hilarious. Had a fun time chilling with her. And I do have a picture with her somewhere, but I didn't put that on this card here. So there's my Halloween card. Finished that. I made a bunch of them here at work and passed them out to co-workers here, another tradition. Here we go. Then I went to the cinema for one final screening. This was the screening of Hocus Pocus. I have my witch stick there, did more Twicky Twivia. It was a really good crowd, really fun crowd again. A bunch of witchy stuff going on, and it was a fun night. That was on Wednesday, the 30th. And then, immediately after the screening, I poured it over to my buddy's place here, and we have a tradition. Here we are standing in front of the pumpkin apparatus. Every year, we get together on the 30th, and we wait until midnight. And we count down to midnight as though we're ringing in the new year. We ring in Halloween at the stroke of midnight every year, and we've been doing it for 10 years now. And this year we did something a little different. We had an apparatus which smashed a pumpkin for us. It's like the ball drop, only the pumpkin drop, and then it smashes all over the place, smashes to smithereens, and that's how you know Halloween has begun. I highly recommend others partake in this as well. In fact, we might invite some other folks to come and partake in this little tradition with us some year. So, next, what did we do then? Is this, oh, this is my, here, I'll just pause this real quick. I hope the audio is going to play on this. So, next, before I went to bed here, I recorded a really nice little Halloween message for everyone. And they did show it on the show here the next morning. I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Halloween, as I had the day off, and I wasn't going to come in on Halloween. I mean, come on, I'm the king of Halloween. I'm not going to do that. So I recorded a sweet little message, and hopefully the audio works here, and it goes as such. Play. Beep, beep! Happy Halloween, one and all! We have finally made it to this monumental day.
So for today, I want you all to enjoy yourselves. Go on out there and spend today as though it is the only Halloween you will ever get. So, have fun, stay safe, and until next year, stay spooky, my friends.
Yay, there it is, and I meant every word of it. Just enjoy your Halloween, make the most out of it, and celebrate every Halloween as though it's the only Halloween you will get, because you just never know. So make the most of it. Then here we are. This is Halloween morning. We got up bright and early Halloween morning, and the Ghostbusters and I, we went and we hung out with some kids. There was a little program where the kids had a haunted house, and we walked through and we did a whole thing with them. We made sure it was safe. We busted a ghost with them. We showed them the equipment. Then I showed them the dance. It was a really fun little thing, and then we went out for lunch after that. There's a bunch of other pictures, but this is the one I stuck with. And then this is when we started doing Trick or Treat with the Ghostbusters later on Halloween Day. I met up with my pal here who plays Beetlejuice on the haunted ship. That's Nelson. Very sweet guy. We've hung out with him a lot in the past. He does a mean Beetlejuice, and yeah, we just happened to bump into him while we were handing out candy to some kids. I don't have any pictures of the actual ecto and stuff in here, but hey, you see it enough anyway. And then that night, I made a few different house calls, and then I had to stop by. This is the Esco house. I stopped by just in the nick of time. He was shutting it down at 8:45 on the dot, and I happened to get there right at 8:45. Unfortunately, like my friends and I had planned to go there together and make a whole experience out of it. They missed it, unfortunately. That's all right. I plan to go back next year. This house is amazing. The man there is amazing who set the whole thing up. He said he'd been working on it all summer. And in his words, and in many other people's words, this place is the Bentleyville of Halloween. And I agree. I only got one picture here. There's just a small smidgen of what this thing is. But it is a big thing you can walk through. There's all this stuff to look at, and it's not a spook house. There's not going to be stuff jumping out to get you. It's just a really sweet, cute little place. And I highly recommend it. It's called the Esco House. And if you take that exit off of 35 going on to Esco and just go a short way, you'll see the house from the highway. Like, it's that lit up. So definitely go out and check that out if you ever get the chance. So that was Halloween night. Then I spent the rest of Halloween night here with my pals. This is the Royal Court of Halloween. This is the whole cast of the King of Halloween movie special here. The King of Halloween, the Mayor of Halloween, the First Lady of Halloween, and the Jester of Halloween. We hung out, and this is my scary Annabelle costume, which you may or may not have seen on Movie Mondays. One week I had The Conjuring was my flick, and I came in as Annabelle and scared the bejesus out of the anchors. That was a good episode. And we just hung out the rest of the night, and we always, every year, we watch Trick or Treat, the 2007 Michael Dougherty classic about Halloween. That's the best Halloween film that's ever been made, in my opinion. And we can't let a Halloween night pass where we don't watch that one. So that was a good night, and we just like sugar crashed on all the candy we had. It was great. And then, oh, what is this? You recognize this? This was from earlier this morning. Finally, all the festivities were over, and I did some after Halloween shopping and made a killing at Spirit Halloween and all that stuff. And now it's kind of back to reality. Here we are, the first Movie Mondays, where I'm not the King of Halloween. I'm just back to being Matt again. We put the king to sleep for a little bit. He's not fully gone. He's not ever fully away. But for the time being, in the public eye, he's not around. It's Doc Brown today, and it was Back to the Future, as you know. And there's Sabrina. As we're punching through the show, it's very difficult to direct the show and then come up with all these shenanigans and dress and do all the stuff and put all the toys out there and do the bits, and it's a lot of stuff. So Mondays are always an intense day. So lastly, that brings me to Boink. Here we are. Needed a drink of water there. All right. This is me and Christopher Lloyd. This is the time I actually got to meet Christopher Lloyd. As I mentioned on the show, 10 years ago, Christopher Lloyd came to town. They were filming I Am Not a Serial Killer on the Iron Range, which is my hometown there. And I was recruited to help out with the production for a few days, and I got to hang out with Christopher Lloyd. I got to drive him around. I got to take him places. We got to just schmooze. We just got to visit and hang out, and he is the sweetest, nicest, most humble guy. You'd never know he's like an A-list celebrity. And, you know, he was very willing to talk about his career and stuff, but mainly, like, he just wanted to know how I was doing, and he wanted to ask about me and, like, you know, make sure that I was doing all right and stuff, and talk about how great the production was and how everyone was doing a great job. And, you know, he was just too nice of a guy. Like, wow. I just never expected that from someone of such high joink. So yeah, I got to hang out with Christopher Lloyd for a little bit, and that was an amazing few days. I learned a lot in the film business at the time. I learned a lot, like, meeting your heroes. Like, every now and then I'll run into a celebrity that doesn't leave a very good impression, but, you know, Doc Brown himself, amazing guy. He left the best of impression. When they say don't meet your heroes, no, please meet your heroes. I'd say most of the time it's a great success story like that. And the thing that made this one so special, it wasn't just me going to a con, because you can meet anyone. Anyone can go to a con and hang out with a celebrity, like, for a little bit and just talk for a little bit. This was something totally different. This was me working on a movie with him, and it was like an absolute dream come true to be working with one of my heroes in a field that I really wanted to work in. And it was just, it was too great. It was too good of a time. And that kind of helped me, like, continue with knowing that getting into film is like what I wanted to be doing. So thank you, Christopher Lloyd. Thank you for all of that. And not to mention the movie itself, I Am Not a Serial Killer, really fun movie. It seems to have, like, flown under the radar here. Of course, the locals know about it and everything. Great movie. It's kind of like Dexter in that vein, where it's a kid who has, like, these serial killer tendencies, and he's trying not to act upon them. It's like if Dexter was a child, like they did the prequel Dexter stuff now. And Christopher Lloyd is his neighbor, who, spoiler, it turns out Christopher Lloyd is the troublemaker. He's the villain and the bad guy. And so it was a really good dual role with him. And he did an amazing job. The production did an amazing job. The movie itself is very entertaining and fun. It was pretty true to the book as well. I was able to read the original book. And there's a series of these things. And unfortunately, it's only the first movie that they made. Their first book turned into a movie. I'd like to see more of these movies. That would be great. Yeah, it was just a fun time. So check that out if you ever get the chance. I Am Not a Serial Killer came out in 2016. So that was a fun little factoid I had this morning. I'll tell you about the other fun little factoid, Jaws 19. If you remember on the Jaws episode, I talked about how Jaws 19 was my favorite Jaws movie. I asked the anchors what is their favorite, and I said, hey, Jaws 19, and they just accepted it as fact. Nobody realized that Jaws 19 is not a real movie. It is a gag that is presented in Back to the Future Part 2. When Marty goes to the future, the gag is that there are so many of these Jaws movies now, they've just been constantly coming out, and Jaws 19 is now the one, and, like, Marty's flying around on his hoverboard, and the Jaws comes out. It's like a virtual reality Jaws, and it bites Marty, and he's freaking out, and it was what a fun little gag. And that gag has only grown throughout the years because, again, during the anniversary in 2015, they released a Jaws 19 trailer, which is so funny. All it does is it just shows the font of each logo from each movie as the narrator's like recapping all the stuff that happened. Oh, Jaws 1, 2, 3, 4, and he just goes through them all. Very funny, very worth your time. That's on YouTube. You can check that out. Anyway, I had the anchors going. I had them believing there are 19 Jaws movies, and that was a very funny thing to reveal this morning. So that was one of those little factoids. So that might be it for Back to the Future here. I don't think there was much more that I can touch upon. The ride was cool, Back to the Future, the ride. I never got to go on it myself, but they do have the video. You can watch it. I think that would have been a cool thing to have experienced when it was around and the Simpsons ride came and took over that whole thing. But they filmed all these like little vignettes, if you will. It's like a story-driven thing, and Christopher Lloyd is there, and then Biff Tannen shows up, and he's causing trouble, and you feel like you're watching Back to the Future Part 4. So if you can't get enough of this franchise like myself, it's kind of like a bonus fourth movie, that ride. So go and seek that video out if you get the chance, and then watch the animated series. Those are extra fun little things. And I know there's video games out there too that kind of serve as continuing installments. I've never gotten the chance to like look at those or play those, but I've heard good things about them. So that is your Back to the Future episode, and that is your Halloween recap episode as well. As I had mentioned, I officially dropped the King of Halloween movie special publicly on my channel now. It is out there. I'm not gonna just like, the original plan was to not release it right away and like tweak it and like fix it up a little bit before releasing it, but I got so many people that wanted to see it, and I just thought, well, I'm not gonna deprive anybody, so I released it Halloween morning. It's just the theatrical cut, so I do think that I'd like to go back and fix a couple of little things, but I'm in no rush now. The movie's out there. It's mostly up to par with what I wanted it to be. So go ahead and check that out if you're curious. I've been blabbing about it for weeks, so go ahead and check that out. And I think that might be all the stuff I was going to talk about here today, other than teasing next week. Next week, I don't want to spoil what's coming up. It's another franchise from the 80s. Well, it started in the 70s actually, and it's very well known. A lot of installments, and I don't know. Madison was excited about it as well because she is from the area that these movies take place, and yeah, they're good flicks, and that's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil it. So tune in next week for that flick of the week and more shenanigans with that whole thing. And I think that is it finally. This is a very long episode. Well, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for tuning in. And, until next week, stay spooky, my friends.